Hey everybody, welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and today we're taking a look at a toy of a franchise that I'm personally not really a big fan of, but a toy line that I'm really into. Yes, that is very confusing, I know, but hey, I'm going to make this a lot easier for you in 1 second. Today I'm taking a look at Optimus Prime and his ultimate figure from Super 7. Now before you go rioting, let me explain myself here. So yes, I grew up in the era of Transformers, and I watched the cartoons, but I wasn't super into Transformers toys as a kid growing up. And even as an adult, I still don't really collect a ton. I mean, I have like one or two, but it's very, very few, and for the most part, it's either Megatron or it's Soundwave. I don't know what it was, I just didn't like the transforming toys, and I much preferred things like G.I. Joes. I liked the articulation, I liked the scale, I liked all the vehicles. Something about Transformers toys just didn't click with me, even though, yeah, I did have a few. Really, the one thing I always wanted was a highly articulated action figure, and while Hasbro did give us recently their Transformers Red series, those were quite honestly kind of duds. But fast forward to when Super 7 announced that they were going to do ultimate figures of this franchise, and that had me a little bit more curious. So jump ahead right now to Big Bad Toy Store having a massive sale on Super 7 inventory, and I decided to finally bite the bullet and try one of these Transformers figures out. So let's hope this is as awesome as I'm thinking it's gonna be. But let's talk about this packaging first, because Super 7 always goes all out with their packaging. The figure came packaged in a brown mailer with the Transformers logo. I've already removed it just to help move this review along, but once you remove it from that mailer, you've got the figure in a really stunning looking slipcase. And it features Optimus Prime himself in a very shiny red sort of look, along with this sort of matrixy background. It's very cool, and it feels just like the intro from the Transformers cartoon show. Or at least what I can remember from it, because I do know that there were some sort of matrixy, boxy things. It was very early digital stuff. It's kind of cool. Regardless, I think it looks great here. The back of this slipcase also features an Autobot logo in that same shiny red design. But the action really begins when you slide that slipcase off of it and see how this figure looks without it. And it's hard not to have your breath taken away when you see this, because man, already this thing looks great. I always appreciate Super 7's packaging because they don't waste time in showing you how this figure is going to look outside of some of the pomp and circumstances we already went through. But once you get that slipcase off, you can see this great, big, enormous window that lets you see the figure from head to toe, or in this case, head to knee, as well as a ton of its accessories, because this Optimus Prime is loaded up with accessories, hence the name Ultimate. We're going to get into all of that very soon, but yeah, I just wanted to show you how it looks, as well as how the back of the box looks, which is similarly kind of a throwback to the Transformers action figures. They had a very same sort of look with those grid patterns again, and the little stat card as well. And you can even see it here. It has a lot of those similar stats just like you would have seen back in the day, just done in a more Super 7 way. But beyond that, there's no additional information, there's no bio, there's no look at who else is in the line. It's just very much a matter of fact, here's who this toy is, and that's that. And frankly, that's good enough for me. So I think without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox this Optimus Prime and see how he looks from all angles. Autobots, roll out, transform, and let's make a review. And here is our Super 7 Optimus Prime out of the packaging. He stands pretty tall and pretty triumphant. This is a pretty awesome looking figure, I gotta say. But you don't have to take my word for it, so let's just do a quick rotation so you can see this figure from all angles real fast. And then we'll start going into some of the finer details about this Optimus. Now again, as a reminder, I haven't really reviewed a ton of Super 7 Ultimates on this channel, even though I do own a few. Not a lot, but a few. And likewise, as I said already, not a big Transformers fan. And especially not really of the toys, even though I get why they're appealing, but they really weren't for me. But so far, I gotta say, this Optimus is pretty much nailing what I've been looking for in a Transformers toy. I'm hoping that as we go through this video, it's gonna stay that way, because so far, this is a very promising looking figure, and this is kind of perfect for me. So let's go ahead and jump on into things right now. And first thing that I want to tackle is the likeness. And I want to ask the question of whether or not this looks like Optimus Prime. And that's an easy yes. Oh yeah, this likeness is amazing. This is just perfect. Like, again, talk about what I wanted from the toys. Like, this is it. This is it. They've got the look down packed. Like, it just looks really like it's just right out of the cartoons. It's amazing. No matter what angle you look at it from, it's got all the right details. Great paint job too. I really am digging this paint job across the entire figure, but the head especially is perfect. The nice thing about it is they're keeping everything very simple, and that includes the way the face is going to be painted and the whole body, but that's exactly what it should be, you know? Like, it doesn't need to be a hyper-detailed thing, and mind you, I do appreciate hyper-detailed, and this will look great weathered and with all sorts of other shiny bits, and there are other toys that do that, but as far as just replicating the look from the cartoons, this is it. This is the Optimus Prime that I've been looking for. This is a very, very good start. And since we are already here looking at the head and how nice this thing is, I do want to mention that as an accessory, Optimus does come with a second head, which you can see right here. And I believe this is the head you would have seen in the toy packaging artwork. So not cartoon accurate, this is more just promo accurate, I guess we can call it, or toy accurate. It's kind of, well, not really toy accurate, but toy packaging accurate. That sounds about right. So yeah, it's got a little bit of a different look to it. It's got yellow eyes instead of the blue eyes. The mouth is different. The shape of the head is different. And just for fun, I'm going to just do a swap out right now. Let's see how easy this works, because I've never really done a Super 7 swap before. And so far, okay, it's pretty quick. Will it go back in just as smoothly as the question to be determined? All right, there we go. And that is how he's going to look with his alternate head sculpt. That's pretty solid. You know, obviously, if I had to choose the two that I go with, I would be using the cartoon look. But it's nice that this is included here, because, I mean, really, what else could they have done? I mean, I don't think in the early cartoons he really opened up his mouth section that much, so it's a nice little bonus feature. I'll give it that much. I appreciate that. All right, so I've gone ahead and swapped the head back to the original head, and I want to start talking now about the body, because this is also what has me very happy about this figure. The fact that it is just cartoon accurate, and I don't have to worry about transforming things. Like I said, transforming stuff is cool. It's just not my cup of tea. So I'd much rather have a toy that looks like an action figure and moves like an action figure, and this is doing it here. So every part of this is just perfect. That's it. This just looks like it's pulled again from the cartoon. I mean, I like when I say that a lot. I like when I don't have enough words other than saying this looks like it's from the cartoon, because that's the exact experience that I'm looking for here. And I'll show you guys how he looks from behind as well. And very cool. You know, a lot of little details I feel like I didn't pay attention to as a kid. But, you know, I really like how this looks. I enjoy the blockiness of the shapes and everything that we're seeing here. You know, he is a very square, blocky character. The funny thing is, like, even as a little kid, I could draw Optimus Prime straight from my head, and even as an adult, I can still do that. And that's thanks to just a very simple geometric look that this character has, and it's nailed here in this action figure. This has the perfect colors as well for Optimus. You know, I can't say enough good things about the paint job here, and maybe paint isn't even the right word, because a lot of this, for the most part, is just straight out of the plastic manufacturing. You know, like the blue here is painted on, the decal is a decal, the yellow is painted on that's in this section here, but otherwise, for the most part, there's not really a ton of paint application. This really is just him coming straight out of the tooling and being assembled, and that's Optimus. So the nice thing about that is you don't have to worry about any slop or any issues like that, and it keeps it just looking very pristine, which you really want with a toy like this and with a character like this. This is very much about just big, bold, geometric, blocky shapes. Like, this is a real sort of brutalist architecture, and it's simple in the best way possible. It's not really a negative to say that Optimus Prime's design is simple, because it is, but it's also incredibly eye-catching and very, very effective. And just all sorts of little details here. This makes me very, very happy. So I think right now I want to start going into articulation a little bit, because that's sort of like the outlier in this figure, and I think how it's going to work ultimately for me. So it does feature a decent amount of articulation according to the preview when I bought this from Big Bad Toy Store, but let's actually apply it now. So the head is ball jointed, and we can see that that's moving with no problems. Very nice range of motion. Now, because of the shape of this character, I feel like a lot of the other articulation is going to be hindered to a degree, and we're going to find that out right now. So Optimus does have ball-jointed shoulders. All right, he actually can do that. I was actually curious if he can get his arms straight up in that position. Turns out, as long as you're gentle, he can. If you try and rush it, it might not work, because it's not quite a butterfly joint that's in his arm, but it is a joint that does get blocked right there. So you do have to, like, keep the arm down, then move it, and then put it into position. But if you do that, you actually can get this sort of nice double clothesline position here. So, wow, I wasn't expecting that. So we'll put those arms back down. That's pretty good, too. And yes, they can go up and down as well. You can see that. Let's try out an elbow joint now, and this is a single ball joint, and that's about it for that motion. That's not too great. I wasn't expecting a ton, like I said. Would have liked to have a little bit more than that. You know, we're talking right here about, what is this, like an acute angle? That's not really too great as far as that mobility goes, and you can't really do anything about it as far as going backwards, so you get that little movement. The wrists can rotate, and they should be able to flex. Yep. We have a little bit of flex. You can flex more upwards because there's more space there. Flexing down, at least with these hands, you won't get a ton, because these are the closed fists, and there's just simply not a lot of space thanks to the position of the thumb. So it's not bad. It's not amazing either, but it's not terrible. Let's see about the waist. Okay, we do have waist movement. That's good, nice and hidden in there. And the chest section moves up and down too. So we got a little bit of an ability to get some better posing. I will say, I've heard in the past about a lot of the QC issues with Super 7's figures, especially the turtles, and how like they'd complain about loose joints or overly tight joints. But for the most part, I heard a lot of problems with very, very loose joints. I don't feel that here, but I will say like nothing's been super crunchy. Everything's moving. I didn't hit this with a hairdryer before I started filming. Straight out of the box, we do have some good mobility here. It's not amazing mobility, but I mean, shoot, it's it's almost as good as those Super 7 figures we looked at a few years ago. But no, it's actually pretty good for a giant robot who's made of blocky shapes that don't really lend itself to a lot more elegant, graceful maneuvers. So let's go ahead and talk about what's underneath that here. So we have this little groin section, or I don't know how else to call it. This is made of softer material, it feels like. Yes, this is a softer, squishier material. Still pretty firm, but a little bit squishier. So that means these legs should be able to, get a little bit of height on them. Not a great ton of height. It's not going to really move beyond that point without destroying this section here. But, if this was just hard plastic, this leg would probably go about that far. That's it. So the fact that it has the softer rubber means it can get a little bit higher. And the more you play with it, the more it will loosen up in time. So do be careful with that. But it is moving. Not really much in the back. Okay, but towards the front, we get a little bit of motion. The knees are also single jointed and very, very, very blocky. Look at this perfect right angle, perfect 90-degree angle on that. They don't twist. The legs don't really twist. I mean, there is the most minimal bit of rotation, and you're seeing it right now as I wobble it. That's it. There's no like thigh cut or anything like that. We just do have this single joint for the knee, and the feet can just flex. That's about it. There's really nowhere for them to go to rotate. Like in theory, they could rotate, but because this boot is shaped the way it is, there's really nowhere for those ankles to go. So you got a little bit of this up and down, and that's about it. And that's pretty much the end of the articulation. So, I wasn't expecting a ton from Optimus, but this is actually a little bit better than I thought, and it moves very well right out of the box. So points for that. Now, where this figure really starts to stand out is the accessories, and Optimus Prime has a lot of them. And let's start with one of the more practical bits here, and that would be the 4 additional extra hands here. So we get a total of 3 sets of hands, 6 individual hands total, and they're all for different things, and we're going to kind of show them off as we take a look at some of the other accessories as well. But right now, Optimus has a closed fist, but we also have a pointer finger, a trigger finger, and some grappling hands. So let's go ahead and show you guys the other accessories and start doing some swaps. And I think I'm going to bring in one of the more wacky accessories right now. This is Optimus Prime's surfboard. Yes, you heard that correct. Optimus Prime's surfboard. So this is from the episode The Ultimate Doom, I think it was, or Ultimate Doom. And Optimus actually is catching some waves in that episode with other Transformers, mind you, too. It's not just him. There's a bunch of other Transformers who similarly have surfboards for themselves. So this has 2 peg holes on it, which we can theoretically fit our Optimus Prime on. I'm going to do that right now. Let's see how that looks. So we have peg holes in the bottom of Optimus's feet as well. This looks like this should go on pretty easily. Let's see. Now this is where it is definitely a little bit stiff, but went in there. There we go. And it's actually, all right, I didn't actually think he'd be able to balance on it or stand on it, or just that this would even support his weight, but it actually is. All right. Now, let's see if we can do anything with this. I mean, basically, we got to kind of turn his body a little bit to get that surfing action going. So that's how it's going to look with him actually on the surfboard. I don't know anybody's going to really pose him like that, but if you do, I would love to find out how you did it. I mean, I guess you could just hang him with wires, but man, this is a very unique look and a very unique accessory with its Optimus Prime. And to be fair, I actually thought this was like one of the stupidest things. Like, I got the reference that was like a funny thing, but I didn't think it would be good in application, but turns out I was wrong. This, all right, Super 7, you got me. You got me. All right, now we have some Energon restraints. That's what this wobbly, wacky, softer plastic thing is. This is from SOS Dinobots, and I guess this is kind of meant to go around his arms, I would presume, like he's being restrained. Been a long time since I've seen the episode. So yeah, when I saw this, I was not too blown away by it, to be honest, and now seeing Optimus with it on him, it's not terrible by any means, but it's also just kind of a meh accessory. You know, it looks kind of nice, but it's a squishy plastic. It doesn't really feel like it's a threatening sort of restraint, you know, like it's meant to be. So, you know, this might be the weakest accessory of the bunch. Still a fun little bonus to have, though. I'll give them that. At least they tried. And the last of the bigger, odder ones, this is a jetpack. This is Optimus Prime's jetpack. Nice sculpting. I don't remember what this is from. I don't know if the description explains where it's from, but this, I guess, is how Optimus is going to get around flying, because the Decepticons can fly, most Autobots cannot. So as we saw on the back already, he has a little space over here, and this is where this section is going to attach to. So I think we can just slide this down into position, and there we go. Yeah, that is the jetpack. Jetpack is now on Optimus Prime. Doesn't really stick out too much from the front. That's nice. And that's how he looks with it. Again, really cool little accessory. I don't really feel like a lot of the action figures in the past would have had this because they were too busy transforming. There wasn't really space for things like this. I'm pretty sure the Transformers Red figure from Hasbro didn't have that either. But yeah, you know, that's a really cool little bit of fan service there to give him that jetpack. And now Optimus Prime can make like Team Rocket and blast off again. But we got a few other accessories still to talk about here, so let's keep going. And let's get into a few of the hands right now. So as I mentioned, Optimus has two of these sort of open hands, which I say are grappling hands, but one of them has a peg, right? So that's going to be in this hand here, and that's going to fit in with another accessory. So let's do our first hand swap right now. And I hope that this move, okay, well, I was going to say, I hope this moves just as easy, if not easier, than the head, and turns out it did. So what does that strange hand go with? How about this wacky accessory? This right here is Optimus Prime's basketball. This accessory would have been seen in the episode The Master Builders, where he's actually playing basketball. I think it's with Spike. So yeah, here he is palming the basketball, which is actually pretty cool. Now I will say, you know, it looks pretty good, but he can't do much with it. And part of that is because you'll see him right here. He's having some trouble holding it up. And like, it's okay, but it does feel a little bit loose. And like the weight of that basketball might ultimately just have his arm over time doing that. Because yeah, now I can kind of see a little bit more about those complaints about the looseness in the toys. Because yeah, it's moving very nicely, but I can already, oh yeah, it's already, yeah, you saw that. It's already starting to have some trouble. So that part, not so cool. But again, another really fun Easter egg and a very nice basketball. I mean, there's no texture on it, but nicely painted at the very least, and just looks like it is right from the cartoon. So that's that fun accessory, but we still got a few other things to take a look at. And I think what I'm going to do now is actually pop this hand out, and we'll bring in another hand attachment. This one, I think we saw in the Transformers movie, if I recall. I always know I've seen Optimus with this accessory in other forms of toys or sculptures, but this is his sort of, I guess, Energon axe, and it's his literal hand weapon here. It's a hand axe. You get it, folks? But yeah, this is his axe made of a transparent piece of plastic. And this is really cool because I know, like, you know, this is how him and Megatron battle. Megatron has like that Energon flail. Optimus has this axe. And I was actually very excited about this accessory here. I was curious to see how it was going to work and look. And it does look really nice, but posing it can be a little bit weird because of the way his arm moves. Like, basically, he's either just holding it straight out or you're going to have it up in the air like this, which doesn't look too amazing. So, good accessory, but not really sure what to do with it because of the way that Optimus moves around. So that one's a little bit confusing for me. I think I'm going to go ahead and swap it out for a different hand right now. And let's just go ahead and try the classic Optimus Prime pointer finger. There we go. That's in there. So now he just looks like Hulk Hogan, where he's like, "What you gonna do, brother, when Optimus Prime runs wild on you?" So that's the pointer finger. And like I said, there is another open hand. It's not that interesting. What I am going to swap out now, though, is this. This is Optimus's trigger finger. This is the hand to hold his blaster. And speaking of, and not to be confused with the character by the same name, here is Optimus Prime's blaster. This is really nice looking. This looks great, I gotta tell you guys. It feels very show accurate. Again, I love how simple it looks, the nice round cylindrical shapes that make this blaster perfect, you know, and there's no real additional paint app, it's just right out of the plastic. So one color and it's just straight from the mold. And that's kind of the way I want it. So I am gonna say I tried to do a little bit of this off camera earlier, and you know, it's a little bit difficult to get Optimus's gun in his hand. So I discovered the best way to try and do that is to actually not even put the gun hand on him yet, but to first just slide that gun, or I should say blaster, I guess, slide that blaster into his hand and then attach it. And, you know, I didn't have amazing luck with it, to be completely honest. Yeah, like it feels like it can't go any further than this point here. So I'm just going to swap it out right now with the hands and leave it at that. And we'll see how this actually looks. I mean, I don't know if it's meant to go further. I feel like it should, but it's a struggle to get it going beyond that point. And so there we go. That's Optimus now with his gun and him pointing and whatever. So again, the downside of the articulation is not really a lot he can do with this blaster. He can basically hold it straight out like this. He can lift it above his head I guess, and that's pretty much it. Like, you know, you can't really cross his arms because there's no butterfly joints, and there's no way he even could have butterfly joints in a toy like this, the way it's designed. So pretty much this is going to be the way he holds it. And I will note, you've seen me do a few adjustments during this video, but the feet keep kind of hunching over a little bit, and that's because of, I guess, even the ankles themselves are being a little bit weak. They're kind of not that strong, and they can't support the extra weight of the weapons or even Optimus just posing. So, all right, now I am definitely starting to hear more of those criticisms and respect them. We got two more accessories to take a look at here, and this one is arguably the smallest, but here is a minifigure of Spike Witwicky. Now that's pretty cute, actually. This is an unarticulated figure of Spike, and it just kind of sits perfectly up there on his shoulder. As far as any kind of detail or anything like that, you know, not really a great amount of it at all, but not terrible as far as painting goes. So, you know, it's kind of cute just to have it there. I'm okay with it looking the way it looks. It doesn't need to be painted beyond this point here. It just works, and it does stand up fairly straight. I just knocked him over because it's just, you know, such a tiny little piece and it's hard to point with him. But that fits, and Spike sits. And then the final accessory for Optimus is this right here. This is our Matrix of Leadership. Now, again, since he doesn't have butterfly joints, he's not going to really be able to hold this like in front of his chest in any way possible. The only thing he can really do with this is just kind of hold it in one hand and shake it around. So I'm not even going to really bother trying that. And to be fair, I don't even know which of these hands would be able to hold it. Like, yeah, because he has closed fists and he has an open hand, so I don't know what he can do with it other than just having it here and knowing that it exists. And I should add too, the chest does not open. It would be kind of cool if it did, but I know it would require some extra engineering, and we lose a little bit of the clean design that this character has currently in this form. So yeah, for the time being, it's just a nice bonus, but it doesn't really do much beyond being a bonus. Let's do a few size comparisons right now with Optimus. I'll slide him down. Let's bring in a WWE Legend Ultimate Warrior. This is probably going to be like one of the tallest figures that we look at today, but as you can see, Optimus is at least an inch, if not a little bit more bigger than this Ultimate Warrior figure. And let's go ahead and try out our G.I. Joe Classified Outback, and Optimus is even taller than he is. Now obviously this Optimus Prime is not going to be in scale with any of the figures that we're looking at today, because Optimus should really be like, what, 20, 30 feet tall? But this is at the very least just so you can see how he's going to look with other toys from other lines, because this is close enough in the 6-inch scale, so he's meant to fit in there even if he's not going to actually be proportionate to it. And since we're going to the 80s, why don't we bring in the Nacelle Company's Sectars figure that just came out recently as well. So yeah, I mean, obviously he is way out of scale from what he's supposed to be, but fits in just fine with 6-inch figures. No real issues there. So final thoughts on the Super 7 Optimus Prime Ultimate Edition of him, I should call it. You know, I actually am very happy with it in spite of some of the shortcomings that I've seen here, because my purposes for getting this figure were just to have a clean, standing, articulated representation of Optimus Prime. And I got just that. I got exactly what I wanted. I also got some really fun accessories, but I'm really not going to need any of them. They're just nice to have, and they look good. Like, I'm happy that they exist. I'm happy that Super 7 covered those bases, because otherwise we never would have gotten the basketball or the surfboard or even the jetpack. So they're good to have. They're fun for some possibilities. I could definitely see myself posing him with them. I am concerned a little bit about some of the articulation on this Prime, though, because that's definitely something that is problematic, and I can see that that's going to be an issue for future figures. Now, I remember back when I reviewed the Super 7 figures, I don't remember if that was an issue, but I remember being not too impressed by that articulation here. Luckily, the way this Optimus is designed, I don't need to worry about him having to have a ton of mobility, so Super 7 can get away with that. It's not a big deal. I am now, at the very least, curious enough to check out maybe some G.I. Joes or some of the other 80s things that they're doing, like maybe even Thundercats or the Silverhawks. Like, my appetite has definitely been whet for future Super 7 figures. But I'm still going to go into there with some trepidation. Like, I'm not about to start spending full price on anything just yet, unless I really, really want it. And there's nothing out there that's really grabbing me to just spend 60 to 70 to even upwards of 120 for like those Godzilla figures. I'm not there yet. I'm going to keep waiting. With that said, there's some really good quality here. There's a lot of strong points and a few problems as well. But overall, I'm going to still say I'm actually really pleased with this figure. I'd love to hear what you think about this Optimus Prime, though, as well as your thoughts on Super 7, especially if you're someone who's been collecting them for quite some time. I'm kind of a rookie to this series here, so I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and feedback on the issues that you've seen in the past and how they've been resolving them over time, or if they've been resolving them over time. Now, if you want to pick up this Optimus Prime for yourself, I'm going to have a few links to some different places where you can scoop them up, and if you click on any of those links, they help support this YouTube channel at no extra cost to you. So please consider using those links if you want to make a purchase for this figure or anything else. So that's our look at Super 7's Optimus Prime Ultimate figure. And I'll say he's worth every penny, but only because I got him for half off. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. And until then, Autobots, roll out and transform.